My particular personal area of interest in that session, I sat in on the session around planning, and in doing so represented the portfolio responsibilities I hold as Shadow Minister for Primary Industries and Water, and was able to represent on behalf of our farmers in Tasmania concerns around accommodation on rural land. This year, the Tasmanian Farmers and Graziers Association submitted what I think was quite a cracking budget submission, outlining a number of reasons why supporting our farmers is in the best interest of the Tasmanian economy and of our Tasmanian communities. As the leading peak industry body in Tasmania, they represent the interests of a number of people that are all committed to not only their personal interests, their businesses, their farm and their land and their family succession through generations, but also deeply interested in ensuring that they can continue to support and allow to thrive the Tasmanian economy. However, they do that despite support of this government and often with the impediments placed in front of them of this government. They outlined in their budget submission areas of need around investing in education and training, particularly around agricultural training, about ideas of supporting secondary schools, exposure to the great pathways provided through agriculture, concerns around current workers' compensation and safety. They wanted to continue to see great investment in irrigation, understanding how that investment grows productivity and opportunity, but we know that there again are impediments with actually being able to turn on this opportunity with the way that this government actually treats and engages with people that are on land required to deliver for the benefit of agricultural projects in Tasmania. We know that they are particularly interested in raising productivity through technology, innovation and maintaining essential access to markets and safeguarding our farming futures through biosecurity, traceability and other things. But the area I was concerned with was around housing on farms. It's really hard to get labour on farms, particularly in rural and regional Tasmania. And then if you can find the labour, it's really hard to keep them because it's difficult to provide housing on site to ensure that people can be on site to deliver what's needed. Despite the submission of the farmers and graziers, their response to the budget was that it delivered very little good news. And when I interrogated the Treasurer or the Minister for Infrastructure and Planning around the needs to address these concerns with delivery of housing on agricultural land, repeatedly, and this is one of the hallmarks of this government, they believe that if they say something, that's all that needs to happen. We'll say it and then maybe they won't notice that we don't actually do anything about it. But repeatedly through my questions about what action was being taken to support farmers in the Planning Minister's own electorate of Bass, there's deep concerns in Winnaleah, Aruma, Branksome as an example on their dairies, and despite that in his own electorate with a deep understanding and a commitment to say, and I quote from Hansard, I do agree with you, it is a challenge, particularly for primary industries, and that the Minister accepted the challenge and that said that they would, and again, accept the challenge, take action. By the time that I had finished asking the Minister questions, there was a cooling off saying, you know what, I might actually have to take some advice on this. When a government knows there's an issue, when a government accepts that there's a challenge, when a government accepts that and agrees that there is an issue, then you need to take action and actually address it and put in place a plan to address it. But despite being able to point to a whole lot of other projects in planning that are actually happening, there is not one thing that they could point to directly address this issue for Tasmanian farmers. And where they were able to admit by the end of the questioning that we don't actually have a particular policy around this at the moment, despite knowing that it was a challenge and agreeing that it was a problem, and then at the end of the exchange say, you know what, how about I write your letter in 6 to 8 weeks? Well, Minister, 6 to 8 weeks will see you at the end of July, the 25th of July. 8 weeks will see you on the 8th of August. 8th of August happens to be the date that we come back into the Parliament. I expect, and Tasmanian farmers expect, that there will be a response and there will be an outline. I asked the question, will that include timeframes in terms of action to address this issue? And the Minister said, sure. So by no later than the 8th of August, Minister, myself, Tasmanian farmers and graziers, Tasmania's farmers will expect that you provide a response that outlines the direct plan that you have to address the shortage issues of accommodation on farming land, which is by extension impacting the productivity and the outcomes possible for farmers in Tasmania. It's impacting their ability to contribute to the economy of Tasmania, and it's impacting their ability to meet the government's, quite positive vision of having a $10 billion farm gate value by 2050. Everyone wants to contribute to that and support, but this government, you've got to get out of the way and stop having impediments to the opportunities provided by people and actually address the issues that you know exist, not just make statements, not just make announcements, but have plans and take action to deliver for the people of Tasmania.
Chair.